Everybody, and welcome to the Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday podcast. Uh, thank y'all for joining with us. If you are watching on Facebook, you know where we're at. If you are listening later, thanks for joining us. And this morning will be our first time also broadcasting to our new TikTok channel. Y'all know that if you've followed my TikTok for a while or anything, done the emotional support Hobbit TikTok, which is kind of what I've done. I just never really did a full faith and fandom TikTok. Well, now I have. I've loaded the first 25 of the bite sizes plus some other stuff, and I'll start be doing some content there and devotional stuff with that. Hey Tina, good morning. But so yeah, if you want to follow, it's literally easy to find. It's faith.fandom or faith and fandom on there. You should be able to find it pretty easy. It's got the same logo and all the jazz, but I hope you're doing good. Sorry for starting late today. Um, not I'm on a schedule, but I do appreciate it when y'all actually check to say, hey, are we doing this? 'Cause that does, that's pretty cool. But going on, we're recording, we're good. All the broadcast buttons are clicked. So we won't be on Instagram this morning as much as because I'm doing TikTok, but it'll be okay. And TikTok might be an absolute bust, but it was worth a shot giving it a go. And but yeah, let's jump right into it for our news for the morning. The world's tallest Jesus statue is nearing its completion. If you've been familiar with our world or geography or cultural anything, you've probably heard of Christ the Redeemer statue. Um, that is kind of a big cultural icon. Well, now one is being created that's actually going to surpass the size and girth of Christ the Redeemer. This gigantic Jesus will stand 250 feet tall, including its pedestal, and it will surpass Rio de Janeiro's Christ the Redeemer statue by it's nearly double the height of Christ the Redeemer. So, and that will be coming up in Armenia. So, if you have a thing for checking out giant Jesus statues, now you'll have two that you can check out between Rio de Janeiro and Armenia. So that's the thing. Johnny Swim. I did not realize my dog was outside. Give me a second. Come on, girl. Come on. Go inside. Okay. Sorry about that. I had to take care of the doggo. Um, but Johnny Swim, a musician, has who kind of famously came to Christ last year, has made an announcement that he is making a new movie, a musical, and a worship album, all coming up pretty quick on his timeline of things to do. So Johnny Swim has some big plans for when it comes to how he's going to be handling everything going forward. And that's pretty neat. Um, if you're a fan of Doctor Who, it ain't looking good out here, y'all. For those in the Doctor Who fandom, Doctor Who has been kind of like shoved under the rug for a while, since the Disney merger and everything else. It was announced this week that the Christmas special, which will pick up with Billy Piper being revealed as the Doctor, may be moved from Christmas to spring, probably Easter. Either way, that's looking like it's a possible uh, option. Another thing that's going on with Doctor Who is if you are a fan of Osgood. Osgood was one of my favorite characters to come from New Who. She was the young woman that wore a lab coat and a fourth Doctor scarf and had an inhaler, got involved with the Zygons, the whole deal. I enjoyed her run a lot. Um, she was also part of like a Weeping Angel phone game that took place. But Doctor Who is going to be doing a multi-platform event over the summer, and part of it is called Circuit Breaker. It's going to be in comic books, it's going to be in audio dramas, it's going to be in video games, and Osgood has now officially been declared as the head of um, Unit's Black Archive. Let me say that correctly. Osgood is now in charge of Unit's Archive in Doctor Who, so you can see her in that. You may never see her on TV again, but you'll see her in this stuff. Famous rapper Rob Bass of It Takes Two. You know, it takes two to make a thing go right, like that guy. Um, I'm gonna rock right now. I'm a bass and I came to get down. Like either Rob Bass passed away this past week at the age of 59 years old. Hip hop and music lost a real one with that. A giant violent earthquake took place in Hawaii this past week, shaking at a magnitude of 6.0, rocking 230,000 people in the Aloha State. So large earthquake went down in Hawaii. Avatar: The Last Airbender season 2 will officially premiere. Hey James, season 2 will officially premiere on June 25th on Netflix. One of the big things coming with this season will be the premiere of Toph coming in, one of the part of the Team Aang scenario. Uh, Colbert finished out his last show of the Late Show this past week or so with lots of surprise guests and people responding and being involved in things, but also saying goodbye to what they had built with the Tonight Show. He also closed out by having the band play copywritten music so that CBS would get fined, which is hilarious. Um, he also launched a YouTube channel within hours of the Late Show ending, which prompted CBS to take legal action, and we're figuring out how that's going down. But Kelly, good morning, bro. Um, we're figuring out how that's going to go down. And yeah, but Colbert, The Late Show has officially ended. The show that started with Letterman and on down has officially said its farewell. Kyle Busch, NASCAR legend, passed away within our last news cycle. Um, and he didn't pass away on the track, which I don't know as a NASCAR driver if that's better or worse, but he did have a pneumonia and was dealing with some bacterial infection with that, and he passed away in that. But Kyle Busch did pass away this past week. WWE superstar Ludwig Kaiser, who is also El Grande Americano, allegedly, was arrested for battery in Florida after he turned himself in. As things have developed since the story initially broke, Kaiser was being overly affectionate, air quotes, with a woman in an elevator. A man got into the elevator, did not like how affectionate Kaiser was being with said woman. And then when the elevator stopped, he confronted him and said he needed to be more respectful and et cetera, with his actions. And Kaiser hit him. And because he felt like he was disrespecting the woman and all the things. Uh, he was arrested, and he did miss one event in the process, but was still active and present for a event in AAA wrestling down in Mexico within a short days. and in that process, was well received and loved. Everything is not resolved, but it's not also deadlocked. Also, just on a sweet note of understanding, the person that bailed Ludwig Kaiser out of jail was the the career killer Gunther was the one who actually bailed him out of jail, which I just thought was kind of sweet. Um, Going back to their relationship. Quinta Brunson, the mind and heart behind the show Abbott Elementary, has officially signed on to develop and star in a feature film from Fifth Chance Productions on the life of Betty Boop. Um, and so that will officially be coming, and honestly, she'll probably kill it. Brunson has the vibe, she has the look, and uh, if you aren't aware, in original uh, iterations, Betty Boop actually was an African American character before kind of getting shifted around in melanin. But yeah, Quinta Brunson, live action Betty Boop. Uh, the hardcore legend, best-selling New York best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author, stand-up comedian, and the reason Faith and Fandom actually exists, one of the main reasons Faith and Fandom actually exists, Mick Foley has officially joined All Elite Wrestling. He departed from WWE's Legends status and contract because he was unhappy with the WWE's current relationship with the presidency and how things are going in our country. And Mick Foley resigned and did not renew his Legends contract. Now he is All Elite, joining with some of the commentary and backstage stage crew, and has already made a pretty significant impact when it came to his presence there. This past week in Mexico, sorry, in Tennessee, 1,500 pounds of meth was intercepted from Mexico between the Nashville and Knoxville region. Uh, it's bananas. It's a whole Breaking Bad episode. If you have not been living under a rock, you've probably seen that there's a He-Man movie coming out a little bit later. Uh, Not very far from now, actually. And part of the presentation of this new He-Man film is that they took legendary and former He-Man Dolph Lundgren and had him pass the sword to the now younger and current He-Man. And they did it at the famous Chinese theater, did a whole pop-up He-Man celebration there. But I do think that's a really neat way to be able to pass the torch and literally pass the power down to another generation. Pretty cool way to do it. Gatton Matarazzo, the young man who has played Dustin for the better part of a decade on Stranger Things, will officially be heading to the West End, which is England's Broadway. But Gatton Matarazzo will be heading to the West End to play Mark in Rent. So if you are familiar with Rent, if you're familiar with Dustin, Mark is actually the role. If I were to be in Rent, I would play Mark. Um, just based on who I am and how I vibe, I would be Mark. I would rather sing Collins's songs, but I would be Mark. And in fact, just to point that out, this weekend at the Gilbert Theater in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Rent is being performed with a lot of local, well-known actors and actresses from our region. So if you are a fan of Rent, you can check it out this weekend too. Some of my friends are going tonight in Fayetteville. But Gatton Matarazzo will be joining the West End revival of Rent to play Mark, and I'm sure he will be a fantastic addition to that. And I would personally love to hear his interpretation of it. If you are a fan of Adventure Time, then you should come along and grab your friends because a new Adventure Time series is coming. Adventure Time Side Quests, a new show of adventures with Jake and Finn, will officially be hitting June 29th on Hulu and October 5th on Cartoon Network and HBO Max. So if you are a fan of Adventure Time, you'll be able to check out Adventure Time, new series, Side Quests coming this summer through this fall. A Spanish court has officially acquitted singer Shakira in a tax fraud case, ordering the government to return more than $64 million in wrongly imposed fines. First of all, how are you going to have $64 million in taxes? That's ridiculous, and that makes me sad at life. But congratulations on Shakira on getting the best tax refund of all time. Um, that's a lot. Cracker Barrel has announced that starting May 18th, it's launching a 10-week sweepstakes to give away $250,000 in fuel and food this summer. So if you're going to Cracker Barrel anytime this summer, you have a chance to win $250,000 in goods. One Comic-Con in New Orleans that's happening very soon on June 6th, Blurred Fest in New Orleans is gaining traction and news because they are banning any cosplay that seems to have a paramilitary vibe. Um, that if and specifically it's labeled as if it looks like it's ICE, paramilitary, or police. They're not allowing any cosplay that looks as those outfits because they don't want people of different ethnicities or statuses in terms of immigration to feel unwelcome or to feel like they can't be at ease at the Comic-Con. And they are one of the first Comic-Cons to make that statement out loud, um, to say, hey, we're doing this. So Blurred Fest in New Orleans be happening June 6th, and they made that announcement. Uh, Chick-fil-A is being sued for religious discrimination after denying workers Saturdays off. Chick-fil-A, which is known for many, many things. One of the things is that they leave Sundays as time off so that employees can go to church, be with their families, do all the things. Uh, they're being sued because they're not denying Saturdays off, and there are sects of different faiths, and even within Christianity, that have their worship services and their Sabbaths on Saturday. Technically, the Sabbath is Friday night into Saturday night, and that would track. Or Advent Christians who also do, or Seventh Day Adventists who do their Sabbath on Saturday. So they're in the process of being sued, and I just think it's funny. I mean, not that anytime people getting sued is funny, but I think Chick-fil-A getting sued for not giving people time off for religious reasons is that's ironic. Um, Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano officially had their match on May 15th, and it lasted a whole 17 seconds before Ronda Rousey put an armbar on Gina Carano and made her tap out. Uh, a Belgian court this week officially ruled that just because information is factually correct doesn't mean it can't be hate speech. Um, it says that it makes no difference if there is criminal intent. If you're saying things that make people feel hated, even if they're true, then it can qualify as hate speech. If it makes people feel hated. And that is a very slippery line of uh, telling me I have to pay taxes makes me feel hated. Um, that's its own thing. Um, a Ebola strain has been ravaging Africa, um, and has caused immense damage. And they're trying to do their best to slow the spread and help treat it as best as possible. Just in the past 2 weeks, it's gone from 700 to over 1,000 people infected and struggling because of the virus. Churches are asking for prayer, associations are asking for blood and assistance, and there's just a lot going on there. So, if you are a praying person, you should probably be praying for the Ebola virus before it actually makes an impact, not just here, but anywhere, because it's ravaging lives where it's at. Uh, Drake had a big couple weeks. The Iceman, air quotes, dropped three albums at once, officially kind of shut down Spotify and Tidal for a second, or Spotify and Apple Music. Um, but Drake's new single, Janus STFU, broke Michael Jackson's record for most number one songs by a solo male artist. So whether you want to hear it or not, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, Drake, Drake has now officially surpassed Michael Jackson in successes. Chew on that as you will, because uh, even though Drake might have more number one songs than Michael Jackson, I promise you, I couldn't tell you what they are. And I ain't mad at him. I'm not hating Drake. I just don't know the songs. Like outside of Hotline Bling, I don't know that I know a Drake song by name. But it's, again, I saw a meme this past week that said Drake music is for the people who ordered grilled chicken at Bojangles, and that hurt my feelings. Um, so take that as you will. Uh, Papa John's is officially tapping into your Disney heart. Uh, as Toy Story 5 is heading to theaters in the near future. Papa John's will be turning several Papa John's locations into pizza planets from Toy Story. So you will officially be able to walk into a pizza planet, order pizza, and get it in a pizza planet box from people wearing pizza planet uniforms. So if you're a fan of Toy Story and that kind of rocks your world, be looking on the lookout for that. This past week, Pope Leo had a speech as he was speaking on AI and stating that AI needs to be disarmed in terms of how it's used and weaponized towards people, culture, art, etc. And he used a quote from Lord of the Rings, specifically Gandalf, to say, "It is not our part to master all the tides of the world," saying that, we should stick to what we can handle, or as TLC once said, please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. Um, but thought that was neat. Uh, a Sadly, a man was executed this week who murdered his billionaire boss over the Netflix series Three Body Problem. Uh, the man who created the story, if you there's like a whole deep dive that goes down into this with the creation of Three Body Problem, of the idea being stolen, things of that nature. But the man murdered his boss over it, and he was officially executed this week with it, which is sad. Uh, Destiny 2, one of the longest running video games in a while. If just for point of reference, I'm writing Faith and Fandom book 11. Destiny 2 was in Faith and Fandom book 2, and they're still making it. But Destiny 2 has been officially announced that it will end updates effectively in June. That next month, they will stop updating Destiny 2 and let it be. I mean, this game to me, to my knowledge, has had more, what do you call it? Expansions, had more expansions than any game other than Call of Duty. Um, and if you were to count each expansion as a game, they would be on Destiny like 43. But either way, Destiny 2 will officially end updates come June. You'll still be able to play the games as they are, but it will end updates. And now people are already calling on Sony to greenlight a Destiny 3. And in 4 days, they managed to get 230,000 signatures for a Destiny 3 call, which I mean, by golly, we're 11 years deep into Destiny 2. We should definitely have a Destiny 3 by now, but tell that to Grand Theft Auto 6, which was supposed to have come out this week uh, when after its original announcement. So Grand Theft Auto 6 was supposed to have dropped, and it has not. Um, but we'll see how that goes. Six Flags has officially banned influencer Alan Farrell from all of its parks for life after he shared a video of him sneaking chicken nuggets onto Cedar Point's Millennium Force roller coaster. So the nuggets weren't worth it, guys. Maybe they were. Who knows? I really would love to go back to Six Flags over Georgia and ride the Batman ride. I would love to do that like today. If you are aware, back when Taylor Swift was in the depths of her Eras tour, she had to cancel three, I believe, dates in Vienna because a man was planning a terrorist attack. That man who planned the terrorist attack during the Eras tour has officially been sentenced to 15 years in prison for plotting the attack. Now, I know he didn't carry out the attack, but this man was intentionally planning to harm up to in one night 80,000 people. In my mind, that garners more than 15 years, but it is what it is. Lord of the Rings season, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, season 4 has already begun pre-production before season 3 is dropped. Um, Amazon is so confident in how the series is progressing that they're going to go ahead and keep moving on with 4 even before they see the response of 3. North Carolina is officially getting its first Buc-ee's. North Carolina's Buc-ee's will open up or will break ground in Mabane on June 10th, just 3 weeks away or 2 weeks away. If you're not familiar with geography of North Carolina, this will be on Interstate 40, um, right between Greensboro, Burlington, and Durham, right about that bubble, and is kind of a intersection of the Carolinas there. There is a campaign being called for across the comic book world called DC Blackout. Uh, DC Blackout is a thing that is happening right now because it has been brought to awareness and attention that there has not been an ongoing story in DC Comics with a black led character in 1200 days. And fans are essentially stating that the company has whitewashed all of the mainstream and characters and storylines, and that they've officially just quietly pushed all of the African American predominant storylines to the back of the bus, as it's stated in the press release. Um, and I gotta tell you, like when I read this, my first thought was, no, of course not. That can't be right. And then I go through my mind of the comics that are on the shelf DC right now, and that have been for the past, 6 months to a year. Um, and honestly, there are team up books, there are like Justice League Unlimited and stuff that have different people of ethnicities, but a lot of it has been, I don't think that's a completely invalid concept. Um, and the fact that you know, even with Supergirl coming out this summer, it's just there's not a ton of ethnic diversity in it. So they are calling for a boycott of DC Comics. Um, After the fact that 1200 days has gone by without an African American led book. So that this will be a discussion. There will be conversation to be had. But that is out there, that is in the world and in the conversation. That might be my last news story. Hold on. Let me double check that. Oh, no, there's more. Okay, it just got mixed up in there. On that note of DC Comics, there was also a big event that happened this past week with DC. If you believe what you read, DC killed off a major villain this week. With a new issue that dropped on Wednesday, a major player in the game of comic books was officially killed off. Again, that's if you believe what you read. And I don't know that I do. But yeah, I don't want to spoil that because it literally just happened Wednesday. Um, it was discussed this past week that President Trump wants his face on a new $250 bill in honor of America's 250th birthday. And in order for this to happen, Congress would have to sign off on it because it is against the law for a sitting president to have his own face on currency. As of that law has been on the books since 1866. And if that goes forward, it will have to be handled by Congress in order to make it happen. In a scary note, North Korea tested AI guided missiles this week for the first time. Basically said, hey, hit that and then let AI take care of the rest. Um, Not a great direction to go in. And other scary news with AI, Ozzy Osbourne is set to premiere with an avatar of himself that will not only speak and interact, but will also perform music. Jack Osbourne, Ozzy's son, has stated that it won't suck. Um, and on that note, Marvel also made the announcement this week that Stan Lee will make future cameos in projects via AI. That his likeness and voice will be on screen again via AI. Don't love that. Don't love it at all. Back to giving Drake some flowers, apparently. Um, Drake is now also the first artist ever in history to top the hold the top three of the Billboard 200. So there's that. There was a shooting at the White House earlier this week. No reported fatalities or casualties with that. But it was under lockdown after gunfire was heard nearby. Spotify is about to do something really interesting when it comes to music and ticket sales. Spotify is going to roll out a new reserved feature that will hold concert tickets for super fans. So your Spotify Wrapped that you're always listening to and apparently making Drake super famous, your Spotify Wrapped might be able to secure you concert tickets. That if they say, hold up, this dude is the biggest 21 Pilots fan in North Carolina, save him a seat, vice versa. And that's literally they're going to partner with ticket agencies that if you are a super fan that is always listening to some artist, they will hold a ticket for you. So be aware that's coming. Um, a Congo, a Ebola treatment camp was set on fire in the Congo as people were fearing that the virus was spreading by treating the people. And so militants came in and literally set the whole portable hospital on fire to prevent the disease from spreading. A controversial bill is on the floor of the North Carolina House, Bill 1232, which would classify abortion as first degree murder, and that is heading to the General Assembly. Um, the original lead singer of the Newsboys, not even Peter Furler, definitely not Michael Tate. The original lead singer of the Newsboys, John James, um, is writing a book or putting a book out about his own life, struggles with sin, scandal that followed him, and everything else. And that will be coming out in just a little bit. I want to get the name right. I didn't put that in my notes. Um, John James. Newsboy. Newsboy, My Story of Hope and Second Chances. Um, will officially release on June 2nd, 2026. So if you are a fan of the Newsboys, of the OG Newsboys, and you want to read this, because honestly, I was a big fan of the OG Newsboys and even pretty much the Peter Furler's era of Newsboys as well. And I know that especially with the recent things with Michael Tate and everything, that's there are issues that surround that, but John James was a big, I'd say, formative part of my musical life and journey with that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out as it goes, and I am pre-ordering that book right now. Cool. Yes, John James, Newsboy, My Story of Second Chances. Check that out if you desire to. I desire to, so that's what I'm doing it. Um, yeah, Newsboy, My Story of Hope and Second Chances, John James. Um, that is officially out there next week. I think I covered that. I think that might be all the news now. I think that's all that skipped over. All right, that is all of my mainstream news. I'll give you a couple little bit of me news. As you've seen, if you've been following TikTok or anything, new fiction book is out, The Attorney. It is a 40 chapter adventure, action fantasy adventure. If you want to check that out, it's on Amazon. I have copies for Comic Cons and local folks as well. And I mailed out a large crate of Patreon books this morning with that. Now, one of my favorite things about the book is that it is filled with pop culture references. And I've built in a Ready Player One style scavenger hunt. Every time you're reading, if you see a phrase that's italicized, like if you see, like, there's a phrase right here on the page that's in italices. If you recognize that phrase, then that's a pop culture reference. And whoever can correctly identify all the pop culture references in the book gets $100 cash and gets their own character designed for them and about them in book two. That's the thing. Also, a neat thing is also, this is less impressive than I thought it would be. This is a jar of 100 D20s. And if you buy one of the books at Comic Cons, you get your own D20 and to keep, and you roll your D20 for the discount that you get on the book. Um, and if you happen to roll two like nat 20s in a row, you get something really special. Um, so that's a neat thing coming up. Also got some new stickers that'll have at cons, premiering at Heroes Con in the next week or so, and Patreon supporters, yours are in the mail. There's a Aslan sticker from Narnia. Let's pull these out so you can see them a little bit better. Um, there's a Aslan sticker from Narnia. It says further up and further in. If you've read the Chronicles of Narnia series, this is kind of a climactic moment in the storyline of that this is getting to where we're supposed to be. It's getting closer to who we're built to be in general. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited about that one. This is one that's just for fun, but I definitely wanted to make it. It's basically a video game button. I kind of tried to mash up a PlayStation button and an Xbox button, but it just says skip dialogue with an X in the middle. Um, so when someone's literally just yapping at you too much, you can just be like, skip dialogue. Um, so that one's for fun. Uh, I've got another Narnia sticker just because I have some Narnia stuff on the brain, and I have a lion in my Dungeons and Dragons campaign that That's just kind of been on my mind, and we keep jokingly calling him Aslan, even though it's officially not his name. I got a Aslan is on the move sticker that I designed. Got some nice little Narnia forest in the back, and then one that I'm excited to partner with. This is not my design. I cannot take credit for it. It is on my laptop though, because I bought one for myself already. But I'm partnering with another artist to bring this sticker to Comic Cons that I'm not at because it's a darn cool sticker. Um, a friend of mine made this really neat stand out Goofy movie sticker that is absolute fire. And I'm looking forward to having this one at Comic Cons as well. This will be at Heroes Con. Uh, so yeah, that'll be there. Again, Patreon supporters, all four of those will be in your Patreon stickers that are coming out. And if you are part of the Flipper or Con Conquer level of Patreon supporters, your a 20 book is on the way as well. Oh, this is a bit of news too. It's not for real news, but it's sort of news. If you manage to go by GameStop when the new Chaos Rising set of cards premiered the other week, then you might have gotten this Ho-Oh promo card. Um, this Ho-Oh promo card from GameStop, which was a free card that you got for being at the release of that, is going from anywhere to set from 75 to $400 on eBay. So if you've got that card, you might have something of value, and it might be worth getting graded or whatever else. I don't know, but I'm letting you know that that's a possibility for your future. I think we've done all the news and covered all my news. My next con will be Heroes Con. I'm adding more cons to the list. Um, and if you did not catch one of the recent podcasts where I announced this, I've officially got my spinal surgery scheduled for September 30th of this year. So I'm going to try and make it through con season and then get my spinal surgery. So, yeah, that's the goal. That's the plan. If I can make it through it without any more major damage or side effects, then that'll be great. I got my prep um packet in the mail yesterday to tell me all the things I'm going to need to do. I'm going to have to go to a class for my spinal surgery before I have it, which is a whole vibe. Thank you for giving me homework. All right, we're going to pull out our rock, paper, scissors dice, if I can find it, and see what we're reading this morning. Mr. Riley says, praise God. Yes, sir. All right. So rock, paper, scissors dice in here somewhere. Yeah, I put it in the D20 bag. I probably did. It was not in there. Do like the sound of dice rolling though, so it's okay. Come on, where are you? Well, poop. There's one. Okay, I'm just blind. All right. We are going to roll a rock, paper, scissors dice to see what we're reading in scripture this morning. If it's a fist, it's Old Testament. If it's scissors, it's New Testament. And if it's paper, it's the whole Bible. So let's see what we're reading. I rolled the wrong way. It is New Testament. I had the box the wrong way. All right, so we're reading New Testament, which means there are 27 books, which means we're going to take a D20 and a D10. Let's do a D8 and just take one away, and that works. Okay, we're going to roll a D20 and a D8 and see what we land on. And we're going to subtract one so that we can still get Matthew. All right, rolled a 9 and a 2. So we're going to end up in the 10th book of the Bible. And I'm gonna pull out my got so much stuff on my desk today. Try not to ruin anything. Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna pull out my sketchy or my sketchbook Bible from Sketchy Sermons on Instagram. Support the homies. Um, I don't know why I keep that dust jacket on there. I'm never going to use a dust jacket on a book. I ruin those things. Which is honestly why I've never put a dust jacket on my books because I hate them because I ruin them. All right, so we're in the 10th book of the Bible, or the 10th book of the New Testament. Sorry, which puts us in. So let's look at the table of contents, bro. Okay, what? There we go. All right. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. We are in Ephesians. Ephesians is quite the banger. 1279. Oh, look at how pretty that is. Anyway, there's pretty artwork all up in this thing. I've not used it enough to actually, this specific one, enough to see all of it. Dude, John the Baptist looks like a G in this thing. Hold on. I'm just going to sidetrack and show you all this. They got John the Baptist looking like he ready to rumble, my guy. Okay. Um, all right, Ephesians. No, there's at least five or six in Ephesians. All right. Ephesians 6. So we're gonna keep it G and we're gonna roll a D6. I've got a stone D6 that came all the way from Rome, which is super dope, or Italy. So we're gonna do that. Two. So we are gonna read Ephesians chapter 2. Dope. Oh, this is a great doctrinal chapter 2, Ephesians chapter 2, and we're gonna use our Faith and Fandom devotional journal, uh, just because it's the one I have and the one I made for the Bible study portion. Right, and I'm also going to mark it in this Clever Foxes journal too, because I like to do that. Ephesians 2. I think I've technically done that one, but I haven't done it in this Bible, so we're going to rock with it anyway. All right. So, you know what, though? We have done it, and I'm trying to keep gen genuinely trying to make progress with this one. So, we're going to roll a d6 again and do a chapter other than two. Got two again. Cut it out. I got two again. I swear to you. That is three twos in a row. All right. Ephesians 5 is where we're going now. Let me mark that. But apparently, one of y'all really needs to read Ephesians 2 as well. So you might want to get on that. It's probably me, though. Realistically, I'll go back and read Ephesians 2 when it's off the podcast. But so we're going to put this in our Bible study notes. The date is 5/29, which it's my daughter's birthday. Carmen, it is her 13th birthday. We're in the book of Ephesians, chapter 5. All right, let's get in this. Sure, all set up here. Dope. All right, Ephesians chapter 5 reads this: Be imitators of God as dear children, and walk in love, as Christ has also loved us and has given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling aroma. Sorry, I was adjusting my pencil. Um, well, this is great. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be named among you, as is fitting for the saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolishness, nor coarse jesting, which is not fitting, but rather give thanks. For this you know, that no fornicator, unclean person, nor covetous man who is an idolater has any inheritance in the kingdom of God. I know that's not encouraging to hear, but it's there. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore, do not be partakers with them. Walk in light. For you were once in darkness, but you were once darkness, now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of the light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness. The fruit of Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. That's a great phrase right there. The fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. Find out what is acceptable to the Lord, and have no fellowship with unfruitful works of the darkness, but rather expose them. For it is shameful to even speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things are exposed and made manifest by the light. For whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore he says, awake you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. Verse 15 says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Therefore do not be unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is, and do not be drunk with wine, in which is dissipation, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your hearts to the Lord, giving thanks always for all the things to God the Father in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, submitting to one another in the fear of God. What's up, y'all? Brianna Burgess. Hi. Hi, Brianna. Just updating something. Oh, boy, howdy. I think I would have rather read Ephesians 2. Wives, submit to your husbands and to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, also is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present her to himself glorious church, not having a spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, but just as the Lord does the church. I've always felt like this one verse didn't fit our current mindset where it says no one ever hated his own flesh, because I've known a lot of people growing up that just like don't love their bodies. Um, but I understand what it's saying. But I'm saying that I feel like that's I guess, more recent development. Um, for we are members of his body, his flesh, and his bones. For this reason, man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Nevertheless, let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself. Let the wife see that she respects her husband. And he goes so many different directions with this one chapter, but there's a lot, but it's all good. All right, so let's do the notebook thing. Main passage focus, I'd say there are a few. Um, I mean, just going off the headlines, walking in love, walking in light, walking in wisdom, and healthy marriages. Who wrote it? Paul. Who was it written to? The church in Ephesus. Why was it written? Instruction and edification. When was it written? You got one of them little handy dandy info sheets at the beginning? You do. Heck yeah. Um, 60 AD, 60 to 62. Oh, hold on. They want me to prove I'm still here. Okay. Sorry, puzzle. All right. Um, where was this written? I'll follow back up on that. All right, symbolism present that we saw. Light and dark was a heavy theme. Did I skip a passage? I feel like I didn't read this out loud. Verse 15, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Therefore do not be unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is, and do not, yeah, I just missed that line. Just kind of re-clicked in my head when I saw it. So other symbolism was drunkenness, and he used the church and marriage as a symbol as well. Verses that stood out, the one that I really liked, uh, that I hadn't really noticed before, 5:9. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. Love that. All right, what can I learn from this passage? Um, how I live matters, and I'm called to live well. Um, how can I apply this to my life? Um, imitate God, be loving, walk in light, be wise in my choices and actions. Um, have healthy relationships. Was anything hard to understand? Not necessarily. Not in this one. Pop culture parallel that reflects this passage. I don't know of anything off the top of my head. Hmm. What game was I just playing? Oh yeah. Um, Here you go. Here's my pop culture parallel passage. We're gonna go with the Walking in the Light, verse 8, where it says, "For you were once in darkness, but now you're in the light of the world. Walk as children of the light." Um, I've been playing Alan Wake too a little bit, and the whole game is a very big theme of darkness and light, and like the monsters can get you like if you aren't in literally in the light, but as long as you're in the light, you're preserved, and so you don't get like a lot of weapons. You get like a flashlight and batteries, which is a whole crazy, terrifying thing. There's that memeable uh verse from the passage. Um, maybe verse 2 about walking in love. I feel like you could do that pretty well with many things. I also feel like you could uh easily make verse 9 into a VeggieTales meme and Alan Wake stuff into verse 8. Oh, what song would be the best soundtrack for this? Hmm. Here's a Jars of Clay song I was just. I'm gonna go with Jars of Clay, and I'm trying to remember the song. Hmm. Here we. If I remember it, I'll put a comment out there. But all right, so that's our news. That's our scripture. You know, the updates for Faith and Fandom, all the things. At some point in time in the near future, when I've just got ample desk time, I also plan to record the attorney in audio, but I'm probably gonna do it little by little. Um, I also still never actually recorded my poetry book, and I need to do that too. Um, yeah. So that's all my D20s up in there. Um, yeah, that'll be it. So thank y'all for taking the time to hear the news with me and chat. When I know I did it at a late in the daytime, didn't really have a lot of chatty stuff. That's my fault for not being up sooner. Uh, it's one of those things the past week or two was absolute bananas, and I had a chance to sleep in, and I took care of myself, which I'm trying to learn to do. Yesterday was like a real kind of eye-opener moment for me yesterday in that I had time to rest and literally everything in my mind and heart told me go do something rather than resting. And I had to like tell myself to time out and sit down because it was bad. Like I got off work from job number two and was like, there's this musician performing at the pizza place. There's a live after five. This movie's playing. These things are doing. And I was like, you know what? Calm down. Just go sit on a couch for a minute, bro. Um, and I know there's a balance to all things, but it's definitely hard sometimes. All right. So dice are up. All these things are done. All right. Well, thank y'all for taking time to listen and be a part of this. I'm gonna close with our closing verse that I read. I don't know if I've read it in a minute with y'all, but we're gonna do it anyway. Third John 2. Oh, look at the little notes section. That's so neat. I just got this Bible and I've only really used it for this podcast, so it's still new every time I'm turning pages. 3rd John verse 2 says this. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. Love you too, Kelly. I've got my stickers sitting out, dude. So if you want to come claim the stickers you wanted, and I've got the D&D book, you can go ahead and grab one of those two if you want one. But thank y'all for taking time to. Oh, Patreon supporters, got to do that. That's the thing I was about to forget. Um, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for helping make all that Faith and Fandom does possible. Zach T, Roshan, Ryan Felton, Jessica Luttrell, Jackie Kraft, uh, Kelly Townsend, Alan Wallace, Fab Quack, Rivka and Tristan Birch, Dot Winston, Michelle Stewart, Lynn Turner, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Jay Shee, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you all for um, being a part of that. I want to throw out a special prayer request for um, Rebecca Godlove, my friend who did the Misfit Guild book and also did the Balance with me and That's What She Said book. Um, her roof collapsed this week, like in her house out of nowhere. Um, it's a whole big crew of stickers, Kelly. So I might not bring the whole thing with me Sunday, but I'll hook you up. I could definitely bring a book. But Rebecca's roof collapsed out of nowhere, and it collapsed on one of her children. Kid is okay, so praise God for that. But that's just a lot to have your roof collapse, dealing with your home, dealing with your family, and the stress and stuff that goes with that. And just throw out a prayer for her this week if you don't mind. Um, Appreciate that. But thank you all for taking time to listen. And remember, we'll be at Heroes Con in Charlotte in June. And we'll be in Fredericksburg, Virginia right after that. And, I'm going to try and get as many places as I can before September 30th. So thank y'all for taking time to listen. And I hope to see you all at a con real soon.